Welcome to our interview with Steve from Sidetrack Adventures. Thank you very much, Steve. You're the first guest in our this new show here with Travel with a Wise Guy. I'm John Wise, and like I said, this is Steve. And Steve's channel is Sidetrack Adventures. It has a new video every Wednesday at 9 o'clock Pacific. So for those of you that live here in Kansas, that's 11 o'clock Central. Steve, on the description, you wrote that family of three getting sidetracked and off the beaten path. That's kind of a condensed version of that.
Right.
So tell us about yourself a little bit. Are you from California? You always got the Padres hat on, so that maybe gives a clue about
Yeah.
where you're from. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah. I'm from San Diego, California, born and raised. Um, the only time I ever lived outside of San Diego when I was in the Army, and I'm married. We have one kid, and usually they don't like to be on camera too much. They're usually always there when the video is being filmed. I mean, my wife's there 99.9% of the time. My kid sometimes gets out of it. He's not as interested in it as I'd say we are, but yeah, usually my whole family's there, and we just enjoy traveling together.
That would have been me probably as a kid. I would not have been interested. I would have been, I remember going on vacations with my family and you know, just not being that interested in some of the stuff we were doing. And so how did you get started? I don't know. But in that regard, I think that was probably the start of my traveling life was when I was a little kid and we would haul, in a station wagon somewhere, and without knowing it started my love of traveling. How did you get started into, being adventurous with your YouTube videos and the YouTube channel?
Yeah, I think I'm pretty much the same way. Every year we would go on a family vacation. My dad would take us on road trips. I mean, we went all over the country. I actually traveled to all 50 states as a kid, and I think that's where my love of travel came from, is from my dad just going everywhere and going to a lot of like these quirky roadside attractions that we would stop at, like Flintstones, Bedrock City, and stuff. And then, but I've always been kind of curious about things. And one thing that really I came across when I was in the Army, I was stationed in at Fort Bragg, North Carolina, and we were out in the middle of nowhere, out in the woods, just doing some training exercise, and I came across a Civil War monument. It's not wasn't marked on any maps. Maybe now I haven't checked Google Maps. It probably has it on there, but it was just out in the middle of nowhere. There was no paved roads going out to it, and it just came across this Civil War monument out in the middle of the woods. I was, wow, I can't believe this is out here. I mean, nobody knows about this thing, and I've just always been kind of curious about what's down this road, or what's out here. And so I was always kind of exploring different places. Me and my wife would go out and check out things, and I think I just got into YouTube because I bought a drone, and I kind of needed an excuse to use the drone more often. And so I was like, well, let me I'd been watching some YouTube videos, like Abroad in Japan, Kara and Nate, some of the travel channels. I said, you know what, I could start posting drone videos on YouTube, and that's kind of where it came from. I just figured I would post some drone videos, and then I don't know what happened after there, and I never intended to be on the videos or anything along those lines, and here we are.
So I think that's interesting because very similar. I started when COVID happened, and I just was bored and I needed something to do. And I had ideas of the same kind of thing. I early on in my channel, I have some drone videos, and I thought maybe that's what I would do too. I had all kinds of different weird videos that I didn't know what the heck I was doing. But so you've done different type of videos. What are your favorite types? If you just really, maybe not your most popular or anything like that, but if you just love to go do, or maybe it's an editing process, you enjoy something about it. Is there a certain type of video that you like putting together?
I like doing videos on where I'm surprised, where like I go someplace and I find something that I wasn't expecting to see, or where I get to learn something new about the place. There's a lot of times where I'll go to a place for the first time. I'll try to read up about it as much as possible, but then you get out there and you find something that you had no idea was there, and that's pretty exciting.
Yeah, just getting surprised. And yeah, that's so how much research do you do before you go out, or do you kind of, learn as you go?
Yeah, I try to read as much as possible before I go out, find out as much information as I can. That way, when I'm out at a place and I'm looking at something, I could say, "Hey, this is this thing," and not, "Oh, I have no idea what this is." That we're looking at right here. Sometimes that comes up because you come across something and you're like, "Whoa, I had no idea this was here." I ran into that actually this weekend. I went out to a place called Cortland, Arizona, ghost town, and that's actually gonna be the video that's coming up next as we're having this discussion. And I'm just walking around, and all of a sudden there was a mine that I had no idea was there. And it's just like, whoa, what the heck is this thing doing here? This is not on any of the maps that I have, any of the historical photos. There's just a huge mine that I couldn't even see the bottom of.
Awesome. I mentioned I probably watch your channel. If I'm going to pick one channel, I would pick probably watch yours because it's so similar to what I like. I the ghost towns of Siberian Baghdad. I loved that video because I had done Route 66, and that was so. When I did it, I didn't know anything about those towns. I just kind of passing by, and here's a video, and blah blah blah. And then Sitgreaves Pass. You just did that one
Mhm.
recently last week, and I just remember being surprised about how that drive was. I was, when you do the whole Route 66, which I did that in those 2 weeks, I wasn't looking at too far ahead. I just was like, here's all the dots in the road that I want to go to. And then I got there and I'm like, wow. And then you did a whole video about the history of it, which was really cool. Um, I've never been a person who hardly ever comments on other social media platforms. I'm just one of those guys, I don't really make comments. So getting comments is weird, and then responding to comments, and people, I feel like they like to, especially if they've been there, they want to tell you their version of the
Right.
of that. How has your interaction with your fans, in the comments, grown as your channel has grown? Has that become harder to do, or is it there's certain people that you always interact with that have been there since your channel was small, like mine right now?
Yeah, it's definitely gotten harder because there'll be just so many comments. I mean, it's just impossible. It gets to a point where it's impossible to keep up. I try to respond to as many comments as I can. If people have questions, I will try to respond to them, but it definitely is hard. I do, read every comment. Well, I read every comment that doesn't end up in the YouTube sets some comments like in behind like a wall that says like held for review or something. I never click on that. I don't think any good will come out of clicking on that tab. But I do read every comment, and it just unfortunately I just can't respond to every because some videos have 1,000 plus comments, and it's just impossible. But I'll try to respond as much as possible. I think it's been really good. I've learned a lot from the comment section. There are people who will fill in the blanks a lot of times, say, something that I didn't know, and then someone say, "Hey, I was there in, 1960, and and I saw this," and I'm like, "Wow, I didn't know that." And then the comment section has been great as far as my videos go. Like I said, I don't know what's behind that wall on that YouTube puts up on the one comments, but the comments that do get through are pretty good.
Yeah, I've learned the same thing, and I've even in my videos knowing that now, if I get somewhere, I'll say, "Hey, I don't know anything about this." If someone can comment about it, and surely it might be a month later somebody finds it, and then here you go. Here's a whole history of that place that I knew nothing about, and because I go to so many little places that you can't find any information about. And
Right, right. I
so,
was watching your video on the, smallest county in, Florida recently, and I was just fascinated, going through there, and it's amazing that, Florida has what you think of as this huge state with tons of people, and there's those small sections, I mean, just like California, I guess, but, yeah, I was just fascinated watching that.
Yeah, those are some of my most fun things to make because there is some history because there are actually towns,
Mm.
and so there is some history to find. And but yeah, really fun. In the for me, it's obviously an adventure to try to find all those places and you know plot it out on the map and what's the route to go. But putting in the editing is almost more fun because it all comes together into this little compact thing. So, but your channel has had just incredible growth in the past year. I was kind of looking back at it, and I think you had like 20,000 subscribers in like a 2 week period about less than a year ago, and like 3 million views. And you had a couple videos that just seemed to go crazy with millions of views. Um, did you see that coming, or was that how did that happen? If someone's out there that's maybe got a smaller channel like mine, or even smaller than that, people
Yeah,
ask me that, and I have no idea. Did you know when you were putting those videos together that man, this is going to take the channel to a whole nother level?
I had no idea. I think I posted this one video about Highway 39 in California, and that's a video that has over, I think, 3 billion views, 4 million views, something now. And I had no idea. I woke up one morning and I was like, "What the heck?" This video got, you know, 200,000 views overnight, or something crazy, and then it just kept going and going. And I think, yeah, like within a week, it had like 1 million views, and I obviously never had seen anything like that before. I don't know how I did it. If I could replicate it, I would. I have no idea what happened there. I guess someone at YouTube liked it or something. But
How often do you are you doing videos that you absolutely want to do, or do you ever do a video you think, well, I think this might be popular, I'll kind of veer this way a little bit?
oh yeah, I only do videos that I want to do. I don't really pay that much attention to like the stats or any of that stuff. Usually, I'll see it when I go on to check the comments. I might glance at it, but I mean, I can't tell you how many subscribers that we have, or um, like what our most recent videos view wise are. I try not to pay too much attention to that stuff.
Well, just so you know, in case you're not paying attention, you rocketed past 100,000. That's a subscribers. That's a big goal. Did you get the YouTube thing in the mail yet?
Yeah, yeah. Actually, I have it. It's still in a box sitting on my kitchen table right here. Yeah, I have it. I haven't figured out where I'm gonna put it at yet. I wanted to put it in our dining room, but it kind of got nixed. So
It looked good on the wall right behind you in that little clear
yeah,
space.
that's what I think. But everything's a mess up here. We got a bunch of stuff that we got to figure out places for. So
Last couple of questions. Do you have any exciting trips planned in the future? Any big trips? I know you went to Europe. I saw that was a trip earlier this year. That was a fascinating video, by the way, about the old road. That was really one of my favorite videos as well. Anything? I don't want you to give away any spoilers about videos maybe coming up unless you want to. But any big trips you have planned?
no, not yet. I really have a hard time planning super far in advance. A lot of it is just based off of, like work and school schedules. That's the hardest thing is, we can only go so far because we got to get back for my son's, so he doesn't miss any school. So nothing planned yet. Probably later this year, gonna visit Texas, and I think I might go back to like Oregon um, around May as well for a few days. I have family up there, but yeah, nothing really planned, nothing set in stone yet.
Well, Texas is an endless supply of information for videos like me and you make. So it's gonna that if you go out there, man, it's amazing how many wide open spaces there are in Texas.
Yeah, I think Texas is like one of those places where you could spend a couple years and not even scratch the surface of what there is to see there. I mean, I never really thought too much about New Mexico, for example, and I go to New Mexico and I was like, wow, I could spend months and months here, and there's so much to see. And I mean, that's the problem with everywhere. I guess there's more places to see than there's time to see them.
Well, It's kind of the fun part too. Like you just know there's always somewhere else. People have asked me like, how do you come up with ideas? I'm like, I just get a map and I look, and it's, you just start driving, you're going to find something if you're interested in those kind of things. But some
Right.
people are interested in it, but if a little bit of history is interesting. So, do you mind if I ask what you do for a living besides working on YouTube?
Yeah, just YouTube now. I used to work in insurance, and there was pandemic layoffs, and so I was like, well, I'll just go with this YouTube thing for a little while. I had enough saved up where um, I was able to survive, and of course, my wife works as well, and so yeah, just now just YouTube.
Awesome. All right, last question, and because this is something I'm going to talk about later in the show. Do you have any favorite YouTube channels that you always watch? Obviously, you're one of my favorite channels. So if you're, is there one that you're always like a new video comes up, I'm definitely going to check that out, or are you just kind of like hit and miss with more the topic than the actual channel?
Yeah, there's a few channels that I will watch pretty much everything that comes out. Um, some of the bigger channels, like Abroad in Japan, is one of my favorite channels. I've been to Japan a few times. I love learning about Japan. He gets to go to a lot of places that we'll never see. As far as smaller channels, 'cause I mean, I think everybody knows like the big channels. Cactus Atlas is a channel that I really like. I'll watch his videos that come out every week. Pin in the Atlas is another good one that I really like their content. Your channel, of course, is I watch every video that comes out, and I'm trying to think. There's a channel, I can't remember the name of it. They don't upload as much, but he takes old ViewMaster reels. I don't know if you've seen this, and he goes to where the ViewMaster reels were filmed or the pictures were taken, and takes pictures from the exact same spot as the old ViewMasters. And I always just find that fascinating, him recreating these ViewMaster shots. I cannot remember the name of the channel right now. I'd have to look at my subscriptions list,
Well,
but
after this, send it to me. I'll put it on the screen right here on the bottom, and so as we're
okay.
talking, people can
Yeah,
look.
it's like it's so interesting seeing these pictures from 1940, and then seeing the same shot from today and seeing what's changed or what hasn't changed in those.
Awesome. Well, hey man, thanks so much. Make sure you go, to Sidetrack Adventures on YouTube. Follow his channel, and he's got great videos every Wednesday, 9 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Central. He's also on Instagram at Sidetrack Adventures, and Twitter at Sidetrack Advent. T is the last.
Yeah,
Is
they,
the
they
last
they only
letter.
let you put so many letters on there. So,
Also, and I, he'll be out traveling kind of like I do and put some stuff on Instagram. So if you like kind of in real time following one of us, that's a good place to follow, not having to wait for the full video maybe later on. So I'll film stuff, and it's 2 months later before it might get uploaded. So, but yeah, thanks so much. I really love your channel. Keep up the great work, and hopefully we'll
thank you.
talk to you again soon.
All right, thank you.